Let's take some time and talk about the martial arts basics. You know, that's a word that's used a lot and maybe not even understood because it's used so much or taken for granted, is basics. So this is your fundamentals, you know, the things that you learn at a beginning stage that you have to master. It's like the philosophy of a building have a strong foundation that's laid first for then to develop a structure and to continue from there. You know, before you can learn a jump, spin, and flip and flying, flop and kick, you probably need to first just learn that kick, right? You know, before a Superman punch, what about understanding a right cross? So the basics, the fundamentals that need to carry you and will eventually advance and flourish your more complicated skills, if you will. I like to have available to teach some systems of some basic solid techniques. You know, what we did decades and decades ago versus to what I'm doing today is slightly changed. It has evolved, which I feel that it should. Now, if you ask me in 10 years from now, it might be different. But something that is known as our 4s also could be our 8s, 12s, or 16s. And what I mean by that is, for now, what I feel would be the 4 most important punches: your jab, cross, hook, uppercut. Your 4 most important defenses: parry blocks, deflects, covers, and shields. Your 4 priority kicks: your lead front, side, round, and back. And even for the last 4s would be falls: back, side, shoulder, front, falls. So these are the 4s, 8s, 12s, or 16s. You know, long ago we did a lot of sets very similar, more from a traditional horse stance where we're persevering and conditioning the legs, and we did basic punch, block combinations, on and on, star block combinations. There's spear sets, elbow sets, the same type patterns that you can anchor and drill with so much repetition so that you can have that reaction skill when you need it with different kicks. But let me get into what we're calling our 4s, all right? So I'm going to take and understand that you first understand the stance, having a stable ground where you maximize your balance, minimize your targets. You can mimic from a defensive to boxing, kickboxing, MMA type stance. So what I mean is the hands are out with the elbows in, chin down, shoulders up, more to the side, knees bent, and weight a little more on the balls of the feet. What we have is our 4 basic punches. Is you lead with speed with the left jab. Your number 1 punch, the number is 1. So keep the thumb side up, the elbow down, basically as long as you can. And it's like that last inch where you're going to turn it over, drill with the 2 big knuckles, see how my chin and shoulder, and bring it right back in. Use some rotation, make it stiff. Many variations of a jab. A traditional number 1 jab is as this. Ready? 1, 1. As we add the second punch is your right cross. So you follow with power. Engaging the shoulder, hip, and heel, the power in the direction of the hip, sitting down a little bit, so dropping your weight or changing your level. Same concept, hand up, elbow in, thumb side up with the elbow down, turn, bring it right back in. Keep one hand up, one's on offense, one's on defense. So your number 2 right cross, 2. So as we build the pattern, 1, 1, 2. Which then gets us to the 3, which is a very solid, proven punch. Your left hook, leading in front, twist and turn. I prefer the knuckles sideways where the palm side is facing me. Turn shoulder, hip, and heel, and follow through with completion, more of a circular motion of a lead hook without bringing it back too much. There's many ways, again, and variations of your left hook, body, head, and long and short, but we twist, turn, 3. So now we build 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, which gets me to the 4th and final basic punch, which is the uppercut. The uppercut's a little different than any other punch because you sit down, it splits from the elbows to come upward, body or head, and you want to kind of drop, putting the weight to the side more of what you're punching on. Keep the elbow facing you and lift, palm side up, just like this. So it's that short pop as you roll, drop, and pop the uppercut. Obviously closer range. 4. So we build the 4 punches. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be your 4 punches. So let's talk about the 4 defenses. Blocking. And blocking is always going to be more difficult. You know, you're already second if you're forcing to block. Not to say that you can't become an amazing counter fighter, you know, with the reaction, reflexes building, and through a lot of training, sparring, mitt drills for timing, on and on and on. But defenses is where action's faster than the reaction, so we have to be elongated outside here enough to intercept the techniques coming. How do we block straight punches, pushes, grabs, even perhaps weapons coming at us? Is we parry and we brush, okay? So I want to keep the hand in front of me here, go in front of the chin from shoulder to shoulder, just kind of out and in, and parry it down. More towards the wrist area. The sooner you can get there, you intercept the strike, parry, parry, either hand. Overblocking is always a problem. It's not a good thing to block more, harder, and stronger, because now you're the one off balance and wide open. So the less you block, you minimize your defenses, the more you can counter. Our second defense is deflect, the deflection. So it's still evading straight punches, push, grabs, weapons coming at us, but it's to the body. Of course, your common reaction is always to use your hands for everything. So something comes to the body, we would almost tend to use the hands. But the quicker way, because action's faster than reaction, is to quickly try to intercept with the elbow. Think of a karate inward block, all right? So the deflect is just short and simple, where my palm side is going to face me and look to deflect anything coming to the body. Block number 3 is probably the most common, you know, as far as defense for the most common attack, which is the cover block. Now again, we're kind of looking more for sport, the profession, a glove, kickboxing, although this could be someone just going wide and wild, grabbing, slapping, punching, open-handed. Weapons are with an expectation of a weapon. The difference would be covering on the outside, which there's other videos of getting into our weapon defense and the 360 Krav Maga blocking. So let me get back to our number 3 block, which is the cover. And this happens very fast because people can punch very fast. So when you cover, you're just going to, again, change your level, slightly advance forward and stay strong in your core. Take the hand as if you're going to kind of brush your hair and grab the back of your neck, but shove this forearm against your face so you're absorbing everything here for the defense. The hands are up and ready. Last minute, something comes around. Cover. Cover. You're obviously blocking on the same side of the attack being thrown. Cover. Cover. That's your number 3 block, okay? And then 4th, we get into the priority of the block on the low line. Leg kicks are very common nowadays, and blocking with the leg can be very difficult, you know, unless you come up with Muay Thai experience, shin conditioning, and leg kicks is a whole other animal. But let's have some basic understanding of defending a leg attack, basically a round kick to the leg. So on the shield, we want to be able to lift the knee, open up the hip, use the shin, and advance forward at this 45. So when you do your shield, also known as check, we're going to lift the knee and block out. The leg kicks can be in all different ranges, lower or higher. Outside shield, your obvious counter is going to be to follow through with the right cross. So you're loaded. And then there's the inside shield, which you see a lot of leg kicks, calf kicks, ankle kicks nowadays coming on the inside. And it's that last minute where, if you understand the leg kick, the power is at the end. So if we can meet it before it's fully extended, then we're able to have a better chance of defending it and the lesser of the pain and blocking the kick versus eating it. So we shield outside, shield inside. Let me run through these 4 basic defenses. Up top, parry, deflect, cover, outside shield, inside shield. Those are your 4 defenses. Let's get into our 4 important kicks. So my definition of a number 1 versus a number 2. Number 1, like the jab hand, is the technique that's closest to the target or the opponent. So your number 1 leg from a conventional fighting stance would be your left leg in front. So we're going to start off with our first kick, which is the number 1 front kick. Now, front kick, we could kick with the instep. You see a lot in self-defense. You can kick with the heel, a little more defensive. But we're going to use the ball of the foot. So your foot is straight with the toes curled back, and you're focusing on the ball of the foot, concentrating all that energy to one point. Your number 1 lead front kick, also called teep or push, is going center line. So in the middle is where there's, no muscle. So this is the weak area. So you're going to lift the knee, chamber, extend out, bring it back in, and set it down. The 4 parts of the kick are very important to come up, out, in, down. not to stay out there too long, to retract it so your leg is not grabbed. So number one front kick, and back, and back. The number two kick is done with the leg in front, and that's your side kick. So we're going to do a lead leg side kick. Very strong, you know, that board and brick breaking kick. Pros and cons, although it's a very strong kick, you do give a little bit of your back. So you got to understand the risk and the reward. So we're going to pivot shoulder, hip, and heel. We're going to chamber this leg underneath us here. So everything comes up, and on the form of the foot is the blade of the heel. So if you hit with the edge, imagine stepping on a Coke can. The blade of the heel is concentrating straight out. Excellent kick to the rib, excellent kick, timing someone coming forward, borrowing their energy so they run into it. The second kick is your number one left leg side kick, pivot, chamber up, out, in, and down. Stick the kick, eyes on your target, hands up, pivot, up, out, in, down. That's your lead side kick. So the third kick is your rear leg round kick. All sorts of ways of doing this. You'll see people kicking with the instep, more so the Korean styles. You'll see the ball of the foot. I've seen that in some Chinese and Japanese styles. You'll see the shin, which is predominantly what we want to do, Muay Thai based for kickboxing. So can you do a 180 where you kick and bring it back? Most of the time you will, especially when you're hitting a target that you can't cut through, or in the air, a 360 with follow through. So let's look at the third kick, which is the round kick. And it's all about rotation, shoulder, hip, heel. Hands up, or learning to engage the hip and swinging the hand back, more Muay Thai style. Lift the knee, come up and over, and rotate the shin. Depending on the level, you kick into the leg, the body, or the neck. Regardless, the round kick is circular. So when you take the right leg, lift the knee, turn, use the top of the shin, and cut through. 360, follow through. The fourth and final basic kick is the back kick. Back kick, or turning back kick, spinning back kick. There is a difference in spinning back kick, side kick, hook kick, crescent kick. There's another video on my YouTube channel you should check out at James Cox Martial Arts, which really defines the variety and 5 different ways of doing spinning kicks. But let's look at the spinning back kick. So a couple of ways I like to do this. One is to let your left foot open the gate. Do a little bit of the work for you for the alignment when you turn shoulder, hip, and heel. Knees more hourglass together. Take the leg that's further from the target, which in this case would be my right, number 2 leg. Heel up, toes down, drive the back kick, turn. Reset your stance. Spinning back kick. 1, 2, 3, turn, reset. It's nice to do a pop-up, a little jump with that. So those are your 4 basic kicks. A quick recap. Number 1, front kick. Number 1, side kick. Number 2, round kick. And number 2, back kick. So if you're staying with me, those are your 3 fours. 4 punches, 4 blocks, 4 kicks, okay? And then we get into 4 falls. I'm not going to go as in detail for the Judo break fall, the ukemi. How do you fall correctly without hurting yourself? This is important because people fall, right? It's also important when we're in a situation where we're training takedowns and throws and trips, because you're going to be the person at times falling. You know, luckily that we have mats today, but to learn how to break your fall. So you have back fall, side fall, front fall, and shoulder roll. To also add some other benefits to this is just the athleticism. You know, it's difficult to be able to go to the ground, come back up. And MMA has proven that. There's times where you're standing, before you know it, you're on your belly. You're standing, before you know it, you're on your back. So up and down is very functional for health, for fitness, and just being a little more athletic with your martial arts skills. So if I broke down quickly your 4 falls, it starts with the back fall. There are some variations in how we would advance this, but I find starting off, we want to learn how to keep the chin down and the hands here, because you're falling back. You got pushed, tripped, maybe punched, maybe you slip on a surface. Our natural reaction is to reach out and catch ourselves, but man, you got so much weight falling on these joints, and this is how we get hurt. So the timing is everything. Timing. So we're going to tuck the arms, bend the knees, we're going to sit and roll, and boom, the timing would be right above the center of the back. And when I'm about to touch the ground, spread the surface, hit the ground hard with the palm, chin on your chest. Simple back fall from here. Think of a sit-up. The timing, not too soon, not too late, right? All at the right time. So when we do our back fall from standing, chin, shoulders, tuck, row, break your fall. There's a whole series, again, I have another video on standing up correctly of the technical stand, where you shrimp, protect, sit up, stand, and come back to attack. The concept of your back fall. A side fall is to one side because, of course, somebody would have your arm wrapped, overhook, underhook, you're tripped, or you're forced to spin and fall to an edge of your body, hence the side fall. So my right side is falling. I don't want to reach out too soon, so I'm going to literally roll. So your break falls will begin with an understanding of no hard parts hitting the ground, very consecutive. So it's kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then spread the surface, 45. More of your weight is by your hip, chin, shoulder, get in that protective position. Then we're going to get into the front fall, which can be very intimidating. It's kind of how like a front flip is more difficult than a back flip, right? If you're literally sitting and watching this the whole time. So being pushed or tripped and you fall to the front, you don't want to bend the wrist. So we're not doing like a burpee, we're not sprawling necessarily, we're not doing a push-up. So you want to have your hands higher than your head, so when you absorb the fall at the right time, you turn your head to the side to start looking behind you, obviously where the threat would be, bend the knees, make a tall fall shorter by compressing, bending the knees. Hands above you, break fall. Ready to turn. So that would be our third fall, the front fall. Fourth and final on your falls would be a shoulder roll. You can shoulder roll and fall, you can do a combination, you can shoulder roll and come out. It can also be a good tool for reversals and defenses and submissions. When you shoulder roll, I'll give you some variations here, but chin on your chest, think of throwing a ball, keeping that momentum going, because this is a completion of a circle. So I can bring my hand between my feet, tuck your chin, roll over the shoulder, come up. Shoulder roll. And there are more details on how we could advance that. So guys, that is your 4-4s, or you could call your 16s. We can look real quick on the bag. I can demonstrate the 4-4s. When you're inside, your 4 punches start with the jab, cross, hook, uppercut. The 4 punches. Your 4 defenses, parries, deflect, covers, out shield, in shield. Your 4 kicks, the first 2 are with the left leg, the last 2 are with the right leg from a conventional stance. Starts with front kick, side kick, round kick, and back kick. And then we had the 4 falls, which are going to be back, side, front, and shoulder. And that, guys, is a good basic fundamental set of punches, blocks, kicks, and falls. Some good priorities that I would challenge you to learn, to try to master, develop, and to just consistently improve. And then you start creating a combination, maybe a number 1 jab with a number 3 kick with a number 2 block. And then something happens and you do a number 1 fall. Whatever it may be. So a lot of creativity with the basics can go, a long ways. When I see people testing for black belt or even competing at very, very high levels, it's the basics that work the most, the fundamentals that are true and tried and that have less risk. Sure, maybe you're looking for a highlight reel, you want to take that risk, jump, spin, and advance your techniques, but first, master your basics, be an expert of your fundamentals.